What's the least impressive thing you've seen someone brag about? Having recently graduated from college as a biology major, I can safely say that pre-med students love to brag about how crappy their lives are. It's honestly a competition sometimes. Oh, you didn't get any sleep last night? I'll have you know I haven't slept all week and I missed my sister's wedding to study for a lab quiz. I heard it was lovely. They take so much pride in having the shittiest life. I've heard that called misery poker. Got a co-worker who does this. Ugh. I went to school with a guy who went to a taping of the Jerry Springer show, and he wound up being one of the audience members who got to ask a question to one of the guests that Springer was profiling. And then he proceeded to brag non-stop 4 weeks thereafter about getting on camera and being on TV. He apparently thought that it was some big break or indicator of success or something. He got really pissed off one of the times he was going on about this, and one of the people in the room responded, "Who cares? It's frickin' Springer. It's not like you were on Oprah or something good." Yeah, I mean I've been on TV twice and you don't see me bragging about it. Friend often brags that he is one of the best hammer throwers. Sorry if that's wrong. Don't know the word in our country, but he came second out of 2 people, and when there were more people in the competition he got last place. People who brag about how hard their life is. My manager at work always brags about how she had to drive an hour to work for a year and how she has 4 kids to take care of. She's one of those story toppers. Like, well, this happened to me, so your reason for complaining is invalid. Especially when bragging to someone who has actually had a difficult time in life but doesn't talk about it. Definitely annoying and cringy. I get it that people that have kids love them unconditionally and are proud of everything they do, and they should be. However, this one popped up on Facebook a couple months ago and it made me shake my head. One of my best friend's wives, who is as bad as a helicopter parent as you can be, wrote a solid page bragging about her son's doctor visit and how he was outpacing all his peers in growth, then proceed to post that he was in 50th percentile for his age. She bragged that he was the literal definition of average. Wouldn't have been so bad if it wasn't such a long ranting post about it. My kid is so smart, he's got an IQ of 100. That's right, a perfect score. My first BF bragged about being a sociopath, just like his hero, Sherlock. He also used a sociopath excuse to justify him treating me like human garbage. Do I think he actually was one? Number. He was just an butt. I can't stand people who self-identify as sociopaths because they saw it on Sherlock and thought that it would allow them to be rude but also cleverer than everyone and would make everyone look up to them. But then they're just a loser and everyone thinks they're a dumbass who bases themselves off someone who doesn't exist. I once overheard a guy wearing tap-out gear brag about the wipe job he had just completed as he exited the stall in the men's room. Then, he didn't wash his hands afterward. I once overheard a guy wearing tap-out gear. Honestly, you could have stopped here and we could have filled in the rest. I know a guy who was born into a gigantic trust fund and his parents pay for everything and gave him a job in their family business. He constantly brags about the life he established for himself, as if he did anything to earn his huge house, luxury cars, etc. Born on 3rd, thinks he hit a triple. Mike Matley bragged about his penis size for like 10 years, and then posted it to Reddit. He claimed it was 10 inches, but it was barely 5. As a guy, I always figure that if you're bragging about your dong, it's a dead giveaway that you're insecure about its size. I had a friend who used to brag about how big his dong was. Actually, it was so big that no girl wanted to have sex with him. There was a guy in high school who used to brag about his horse dong. I overheard him mention it to one of the cheerleaders once, and she looked him dead in the eyes and said, "What a waste." He went from smile to sorrow quicker than I've ever seen before. Murdered by words. As someone in the chronic illness community, the most annoying thing people brag about is how they are sicker than anyone else. It's like you dislocated your shoulder. I dislocated my shoulder, hip, kneecap, and passed out from low blood pressure all at the same time. Bragging about cheating on their exes while they were still together. It's just, no. Who the frick brags about crap like that? Jesus Christ. Thanks for the laugh. Now I'm imaging bro Jesus bragging about cheating. getting the highest grade in her AP history class. That was 3 years ago, Grace, and you're junior in college now. Like dang, have you done nothing even slightly notable since then? Brag about their fluency in sarcasm. So you grasp the most popular form of comedy at your local middle school? Impressive. It's really not that impressive, honestly. My ex-stepfather-in-law. He used to brag about working at a car wash. He wasn't the manager. He wasn't the assistant manager. He just worked at a car wash. That's pretty bad but though. Some random dude out with his friends bragging, I learned how to be a great liar from my parents. I can lie convincingly about anything. Yeah, my old co-worker bragged about being a good liar. He was actually a horrible liar. No one cared enough about him to even call him out anymore. A guy that used to work for my father. We had to go on a small trip together for business. I was only about 20 at the time. He was in his late 40s. Driving back to my place after a meeting, we decided to stop at a little strip bar on the side of the road. He got a lap dance and then would not stop bragging on the way home about how he came in his pants. Oh my god, what the frick. I heard someone in high school say I'm more conservative than you will ever be, like their personal political views were a contest. My co-worker brags about having been married 4 times. His 4th wife just left him. I'm wondering when the bragging about being married 5 times begins. Probably after the next time he gets married. There was an obnoxious twit who briefly would go clubbing at the same places as my friend group. He was always inserting himself uninvited into conversation and attempting to one-up whatever the topic at hand was. And then he claimed to have an extra testicle, which made him more manly. To which our snarkiest friend instantly responded, it's probably cancer, like you. She also refused to call him by name and referred to him as 2.5 testicle boy thereafter. He stopped showing up shortly after that. I am both scared and in awe of your snarky friend. She sounds amazing. Obviously fake war stories. No grandpa, you didn't bail out of an airplane over France, get your parachute stuck in a tree, then get rescued by a submarine. That doesn't even make sense. I feel like vets have gotten pressured to have more interesting war stories than they actually did, both by society and other vets. I cannot cook with my friends. They need to compete over doing every single move the fastest or the swiftest way and start questioning your cooking skills if you don't chop your onions like Gordon fricking Ramsay when you're just casually preparing food. Do you work in the restaurant industry by chance? I have the same problem when I make food for my co-workers when I throw a party. God damn it, Justin, they're just freaking pigs in a blanket. No one cares if they're not cut on a bias. They're drunk. If Taco Bell is good enough for them, so is this. That they were a CEO of their own company when it was a direct sales MLM pyramid scheme. So much second-hand embarrassment. I work with a guy that's been out of college for 6 years, and he still has his high school GPA on his resume. At this point, nobody even gives a crap what you did in college. Give it up. Multiple people have given me crazed looks when I say I've thrown away my high school diploma. I'm 37. Janet. No one is going to ask me to prove I graduated high school ever again. I know this guy, who considers himself a bit of a well-traveled dandy, because he is southern not gay, and his words. He was bragging to me how he had a layover at Newark Airport after coming back from holiday in England, which was ever so fun. He was like, yeah, and I went to this restaurant in Times Square. Best pasta ever. It was called Olive Garden. Very fascinating guy. I think he is by far the most sophisticated of his friend group. So he thinks he is super suave and cool. Being a princess. And no, I don't mean she's royalty, but she was bragging about being a high maintenance diva. She won't eat certain things. She doesn't wear certain fabrics. If it's not a fancy brand, she doesn't want it, and whoever dates her has to pamper her. She's single and in her 40s. Not that that's bad, but in her case it's for a good reason. He bragged about not having finished his 2nd year of high school. He still haven't finished it. He still haven't finished it. Looks like you skipped a few lessons yourself. Had a guy brag about his GF using a small dildo to frick him. Honestly, any sexual brag is usually creepy. Another guy bragged about his girlfriend not owning a dildo until one day he walked in on her using one and was pee off for a week. Bragged about not doing any work all day. To me, the guy doing all the work he's been ignoring. A boss bragging about remembering how to make a single kind of salad that gets ordered all the time. Another boss bragging about his lasagna that looked like it was rejected by a school cafeteria and sold even less than the frozen stuff we usually had. That they can drink coffee black. You'd think putting anything in your coffee was a war crime with how he goes off about it. And it's just instant coffee powder too. Graduating basic training in the Air Force. Yes, you were able to follow simple instructions for 6 weeks. Your butt was thrown out 2 months later for being an idiot. Being high school valedictorian. That's certainly something to be proud of, but this guy was well into his 40s and he still brought it up all the time. I work for a major international company. One of the auditors has her college. She's in her mid-50s. GPA and BA. CM Lord in her email signature. My morbidly obese ex used to brag about being able to eat a Waffle House waffle in 18 seconds. I told him it would be more impressive if he stopped doing that. My sister bragged about her burger having a bit of extra cheese on it. My other sisters and I laughed at her after she took a bite and realized there was no patty. Had an acquaintance who bragged about his chocolate chip cookies. Found out he was using fricking Nestle Toll House cookie dough. Anytime someone says something like, "You guys all changed since high school," I'm pretty much the same. I've heard people say that and think it makes them cool or enviable. In reality, it's an admission that you peaked in high school and makes you look like an absolute child. Who the heck wants to be the same loser they were in their mid-teens? Or my favorite, "I thought I knew you better." No, you knew the immature me and what I allowed you to know at the time. My two favorite. The "I sleep less than 3 hours a night" guy and the "I never call in sick" guy. Spoiler alert, usually the same guy. Thanks Gary, you infected the whole office with the plague. Also, maybe your emails wouldn't read like a schizophrenic wrote them if you'd get some goddamn sleep. Bonus favorite quotes. "I'll sleep when I'm dead, and if I'm calling in sick, it'll be from the ER. K dude, you do you. I make more money and have a big slong and fricked more girls than you. And how is that statement supposed to impress me?" Literally screams insecurity. Have a big slong. Prove it. Bragging about how free of a spirit they are and how they're just a catalyst for all the energy in the universe flowing through them. Okay, cool, you're chill, but you quit a job because your boss told you that you can't hula hoop in the parking lot. That free spirit thing is totally gonna help you feed your children. Weird ex-coworker bragged about how she is totally emotionless and has an illness that causes her to feel absolutely nothing. No pain or emotions at all. The very next day at work she broke into tears because she was being bullied by other coworkers who called her out on another lie. She was then called out on supposedly having no emotions. She went to the supervisor saying she had a migraine and had to go home. She was called out again the following day. Still tells people she has no emotions though. My friend bragged about how when she has a bad day her boyfriend asks her if she wants to talk about it. The bar is so low it's actually touching the ground. A guy I worked with bragged that his teenage son would be able to use a whole month's prescription of Xanax in one weekend. Your son is a junkie. Good for you. My neighbor once bragged to me that she hadn't read a book since high school. I'm a reading interventionist and was not impressed. People on Facebook who post their horribly cooked meals acting like they are gourmet cooks. Sorry Nancy, that half-burnt piece of chicken next to that Minute-Maid rice with a side of broccoli looks like crap. Sarah brags she made it to high school graduation without getting pregnant. We only had maybe 10 girls out of our class of 500 who didn't, but Sarah acts like it means she wins at life above everyone almost. One time when I quit "So did I?" she said "Yeah, but I did it better." Did what better? It is kind of one or the other. It's not like there is a shade of grey between having a baby while in high school and not having one. My sister sent me something an acquaintance was bragging about. We're all writers, but this poor chick is barrel bottom bad. She was touting being in an anthology of short stories. Turns out it was an ebook-only collection by two authors, herself and another presumably similarly talented hack, judging by the ludicrous pen names, selling for $2.99. The cover art on the so indie it almost doesn't exist publisher's website was so awful that it had to have been done in Ms. Word or something because not even someone using paint could frick it up that badly. And to top it off, it was erotica. Because of course it was. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.